الرحمن الرحيم برشد فاللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا وشفينا ومولانا محمد كما تحب وترضى أن تصلي عليه. Each and every one of you joining us, salatu wassalamu alayka ya sayyidi ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya sayyidi ya Habiballah. Salatu wassalamu alayka ya sayyidi ya Rasulullah وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا خاتم النبيين. Honorable and respectable elders, brothers and sisters, lovable youngsters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just before I begin, I want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the organizer of this particular event, Muhtaram Zahir Atari Sahib, Hafizahullah Ta'ala, and also to the Intizamiya of this masjid for allowing this event to take place amidst unprecedented circumstances. And it's because of them circumstances, I'm assuming you're all sitting quite scattered. No? Have you been given instructions to sit like this? No? So now I request everyone to come into the middle, inshallah. Unprecedented circumstances or not, we are Ahlul Iman. And khastor we are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And it is our Iman and Aqidah that it is with Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala that all cures to every type of illness lies. I don't intend to speak for too long. The topic of discussion is in relation to the guided one, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. There are a few things that I want to mention, a few things that I've been asked to speak about. In particular, this fitna which is affecting our youngsters living in the West. Cult-type leaders who are polluting the minds of the masses by propagating those things which have nothing to do with Deen Islam, more upon this individual and his followers towards the end of the bayan. But nevertheless, Allah Almighty accept our sitting here in His house. Remember this, that the houses of Allah are shifa for you and me. I know some people are of the opinion that we shouldn't come to the masjid, and some have even gone as far as saying we should abandon or should I say, not take part in the Friday prayers and read your prayers at home. But my personal opinion, for what it's worth, is that the houses of Allah are shifa. They're a place of cure. I said this yesterday in Bolton, at the beginning of the bayan. I will say it again today. And no doubt the most beloved of places to Allah are the houses of Allah. ये सही मुस्लिम शरीफ की रिवायत है, किताब मसाजिद में, सही मुस्लिम शरीफ की रिवायत किताब मसाजिद में, that the most beloved of places to Allah are the houses of Allah, whereas the most hated of places are the marketplaces. ये हदीस शरीफ के अल्फाज है, उसका मफ़हूम And what do we find today? Masajids are empty and marketplaces are full. Khas or supermarkets. We've all seen the videos which are going viral. Civilized people fighting over toilet paper. And Babe filling their trolleys with tilda basmati or what do they call it? Basmati rice. And these things are quite mind-boggling and quite mind-baffling. And we find that people are hoarding these things. Shelves in the supermarkets have been emptied. We're stocking up like we are about to go into World War III. When in reality it's just an illness. It's a virus. I said this yesterday in Bolton, that we are so afraid and this state of fear and panic has been created amongst the people, and the media plays its part. But unfortunately, we, especially as Muslims, fail to understand or often forget that there are internal viruses and illnesses within us as well. Diseases of the heart, poisons of the heart, dilaniya bamariyan, illnesses of the spirit, the soul, and we forget these things very easily and very quickly. So like I mentioned, ultimate shifa and ultimate cure is with Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. There is no doubt in this. We should not forsake our duty, our obligation in congregating in the houses of Allah. I'm assuming maybe that's one factor to why the attendance here is slightly less than what it would normally be, especially for a talk in Blackburn. I did the same thing Haji Qasim Sahib did. I went to the other Madri Masjid, Lancaster Place. I walked in and it was empty. Then I looked at the poster and it said Oak Street, hence why I'm slightly late. These internal viruses, illnesses, diseases, which are affecting you and me on a daily basis, we should be more worried and concerned about them. And we have antiviruses. No doubt they'll find a cure, a vaccine, some sort of medication to this coronavirus. But in the same way we have antiviruses for every type of virus in the Sharia. And the antivirus for you and me are the verses of the Quran. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That we set down the verses of the Quran as a means of shifa, as a means of healing and cure, and as a means of mercy for the believers. But be honest with yourselves, and I ask myself first and foremost, how many of us actually read the Quran regularly? Most of us probably haven't opened the Quran since last Ramadan. Or if somebody passes away, someone dies, then maybe we remember. And the Quran gather dust on our shelves, are often neglected and ignored. When I speak generally here, narazgi wana. Yes. And this is our ta'alluq and our rishta with the Quran. And then we have our ta'alluq, our connection with Allah Almighty by way of salah. How many of us can say we are regular in our 5 daily prayers? People want us to talk about Imam Mahdi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, but your local Imam is waiting for you 5 times a day. Your local Imam is waiting for you 5 times a day. Khas taur Salatul Fajr ne waqt par. Salatul Fajr kitne log padhe? मैं सोचा तो सर बहुत ज़्यादा होंगे, बहुत थोड़े ही होने, कितने लोग? And I say this wherever I go, people say, oh, Basti Imam Sahib, same things. Always negative, always pessimistic. Reality is that we're not being negative or pessimistic, rather we're being realistic. वैसे एक शानदार masjid, the first time I've come back to this masjid, Madri Masjid, Oak Street in Blackburn, in Ghaliban 3 years, Mahfil Milad programs a couple of years ago, I was invited by the organizers. And again, not pointing fingers at anyone, but I would say at least £1 million, £2 million of this masjid.
Yes.
Year, good year. And then we look at the attendance for the prayers. Let's be honest. Chalo Fajr can be slightly difficult, especially now as it's going back. Pone 6 baje Jamaat hai, 5:30 kariye lo. Here the Jamaat is at 5:45 in the morning. But what about the rest of the prayers? Isn't the Imam of the masjid waiting for you and me? Isn't the Adhan called 5 times a day? Do we not ignore that call? This is me giving the conclusion to the speech at the beginning. What can we do to prepare for the arrival of Imam Mahdi radiyallahu ta'ala? The reality is that we need to look at ourselves. Apne man mein dubo. What's going on inside? We're all worried about what's happening around us, but what's going on inside? What are these illnesses and these poisons which are affecting us on a daily basis? We can't stand that next man is successful. We can't stand that next man has got a better car than us, has got a better house than us, is wearing better clothing than us, he's got money and wealth at his disposal. We can't be happy for next man, for our own Muslim brother. And what do we expect in return? And kid me not, the solutions don't just lie in reading namaz. With this responsibility of praying 5 times a day, there is a mindset that has to be created. Yes, there is a falsafa, a philosophy. There is a philosophy of prayer. Allah Almighty mentions this in the Quran, Surah Al-Ankabut. أقيم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. And establish the prayer, for indeed the prayer saves you from all forms of indecencies and evil. But why is it that we find that people pray, but those same people who are praying, they sell drugs as well? मैं अपनी ब्रैडफोर्ड निकालता ना तो सदा सीधे सादे लोग हैं ये ब्लैकबर्न में. BD3 is full of these people. Namaza hi padhne, na drug bhi bechne. Namaza hi padhne, na sharab bhi peene. Namaz padhne, but they will beat their wives at home. Namaz padhne, but they will not fulfill the rights of their neighbors. Do you understand? There's no correlation between the two. So there's a mindset that has to be created. That we're not just Muslims when you come into the masjid. Don't be like Imam Ashim like in that, you got your parna, you got your libas on, and that's it. I'm going to the masjid. And then when you're outside of the masjid, you can say what you want. And I speak generally here. For those of you who know my mazaj and taba, I don't shy away from mentioning what needs to be said. But we see this on a more regular basis now. So much so that you don't even have to go too far. Just look at how we put our shoes in the shoe rack. Those who do. Most of us just leave our shoes there. Ill discipline. Basic thing. And you might say, what's this got to do with Imam Adil Islam? Wo to bahut dur ki baat hai na. Their arrival is no doubt a reality. It is inevitable. It is based upon authentic narrations and knowledge which cannot be denied. But we need to ask ourselves, what are we doing? What are we doing? The way we park our cars, ill discipline in every regard. And those of you who've got a bit of common sense and appreciate these matters that I'm discussing will know and will acknowledge that these small things lead to big things. So ye tamheedi guftagu within this was nasiha as well. So rather than panicking and going into this state of fear, running towards the supermarkets and stocking up for the next 3 to 4 weeks and coronavirus, we need to look at the viruses within ourselves. Would you agree? And the antivirus to our internal viruses lie in the tilawat of the Quran, lie in the 5 daily prayers. With that, what I was mentioning, the added responsibility of making sure that we become true musallis. Anybody up and down like Woody Woodpecker. Are we understanding? Yes. And then within this as well, one of the biggest viruses of our time is Batil Aqidah. Don't get me started on that. Batil Aqidah. Wishy-washy, goal-mole aqa'id of our youngsters who have no grounding and no foundation in the i'tiqad. You have these keyboard warriors and Facebook vigilantes criticizing and insulting ulama of the past and ulama of this time. And some have gone as far as even insulting and criticizing Ahlul Bayt Athhar and Awliya Kamilin and Ashab Rasul. So we have to be careful. Allah Almighty says in the Quran, لا تلبسوا الحق بالباطل ولا تكتموا الحق وأنتم. Do not mix, do not assume that you can mix falsehood with truth. No. As soon as you mix water with milk, the essence of the milk is lost. In the same way, as soon as you mix your batil aqa'id with aqidah haqqa, the right beliefs, that's it. Game over. And yet, this is not kids' play. You can say what you want, you can do what you want, you can believe in what you want, and you think nobody's going to hold you responsible. This is why we have to be very careful in what we say. And we have to be responsible for what we say. But these were some points that I wanted to share, especially in light of these unprecedented times that we are living in. Yes, there is slight concern in these matters, but we place our trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. We place our yaqeen and our tawakkul in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. Why is it that even Muslims are going into this state of panic and fear? Is because we are weak in our iman. Yes. वो अपनी ज़बान में चाहे ना पीर वड्डा या यकीन वड्डा. बंदे को पूछो तो आगे पीर ही वड्डा ही है. क्यों? पीर सामने है ना. लेकिन यकीन, trust and भरोसा or reliance and conviction in Allah Almighty is what's required. This is fundamental to our iman. Allah Almighty give us all istiqamat in these difficult and testing times. And Allah Almighty grant us ikhlas within our deeds and actions. Yaqeenan, people get very quickly, they're very quickly saddened and upset when we say something. Or Imam Sahib is always pointing fingers, criticizing. The reality is that if we, and I was teaching this riwayat in the morning, the Prophet ﷺ said what? 34th narration in Kitab al-Arba'in of Imam Abu Zakaria al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala. Riwayat also mentioned in Sahih Muslim Sharif in its asal, that Sayyidina Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala is the narrator, a narration no doubt you would have heard of. The Prophet ﷺ said, Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi fa in lam yastati' biqalbihi fa in lam yastati' bilisanihi wa dhalika ad'afu al-iman, or kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when you see something wrong happening in front of you, something that goes against the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah, then what should you do? You should try and stop that wrong from happening with your hands, physically. Yes. And if you're not able to physically stop that thing from happening, or help that person who is doing wrong, then what should you do? Come as come you should, through your tongue, speak out against that person. Say that what you are doing, what you believe in is wrong. Yes? And if you're not able to do this, if you're not able to stop it with your hands, that wrong that that person is doing, and you're not able to speak out against that person, then at least what you should do is say that within your heart and within your mind, you accept that that person is doing wrong. Yes? But we find that even this is very hard for us today. Asa janne hain, lekin bolne na chahte. Ye na hoye agla naraz ho jaye. Apna nak bachane waste. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said what? وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. And this is the weakest level of Iman. And if you don't even acknowledge what that person is doing wrong, and we know there are people standing on our street corners selling drugs, we won't say anything. We know there's people doing haram, eating haram, consuming haram, earning haram, living a life full of haram, we won't say anything. That's how weak we become. We'll accept it, we'll normalize it. We will normalize it. Like somebody put up on Snapchat yesterday, 40 days left to Ramadan, if you're smoking weed, stop smoking. Also, it's okay to smoke prior to that, because now there's 40 days left to Ramadan, you need to stop. Kids play. Kids play, that's all it is. Deen ka mazakh, and we make a mockery of the religion. And when we don't have this tawakkul and yaqeen and bharosa in Allah Almighty, when we are weak in our iman, then this is exactly what happens. Allah sends signs. Allah sends signs to the people. Just like the previous nations were plagued by illnesses and diseases. Read the story of Musa alayhi salam. Read the story of the previous Anbiya and Mursaleen. How they were tested by Allah. But they were tested because of their own lack of faith. They didn't have that conviction and that reliance in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. So, وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. This is the weakest level and the lowest level of Iman. And we find this today. And in the commentary of this narration that we were mentioning this morning in class, they write that no doubt when somebody does wrong, what happens? Black spot, a dark spot is placed on your heart. When you do or say something wrong. Similarly, when you see somebody doing wrong, and you don't speak out against it, and you don't accept that it is wrong within your heart, in the same way, when you see someone doing wrong, but you don't do anything about it, similarly, the angels are ordered to place this black spot, this dark spot on your hearts. And the more wrong you see, and the more wrong you do, and the more wrong you say, then more and more dark spots begin to engulf your heart, until your heart is full of darkness. And then a seal is placed. خَطَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ سَمْعِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ أَبْصَارِهِمْ غِشَاوَةٌ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. So it's not about the external. These illnesses, viruses, shakal, jo kuch hai, surat, these things change with time. Illnesses come, illnesses go. But it's what's in here that counts. Apne man mein dubo. Iqbal says what? Tere dil to hai sanam ashina. Tujhe kya milega namaz mein? Your heart is full of illnesses. Your heart is full of darkness. Your heart is full of wrong, and you have this hatred and enmity and hasad towards one another. And we see this now even in religious circles. One murid might be closer to peace than the other. And that's it. Heart begins to talk to you. Your conscience begins to say, oh, kis raat gaya hai. And we see this now within our masajids as well. Youngsters come into the masjid, Baba turns around and says, tu kuthu aayi gaya hai? 6 महीने हो गए गलती ना राजन कराएंगे मस्जिद ਵਿੱਚ this isn't the way. This isn't the way. We have to support one another, help one another. تَعْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Ye mu'min ki nishani hai. This principle is one, enjoin good and forbid evil. Enjoin good and forbid evil. And you might say Imam says waffling, but all of this is linked. This is the first part of my discussion. Durood Sharif, Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa mawlana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Raditu billahi rabban wa bil islami deenan wa bi Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam rasulan wa nabiyyan. That there are two types of signs of the hour. And you know this. Alamatul Sughra and Alamatul Kubra. Sughra and Kubra. Minor and major. Very simple, nothing complicated. Yes. And again, knowledge of these signs are either taken from the verses of the Quran or Sahihul Riwayat. Like Allah Almighty says at the beginning of Surah Al-Qamar. Yes. اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر. But the hour is near, the hour is close, and the moon has been split into two. Yeah? So the splitting of the moon into two by the Prophet ﷺ during the period in Makkah al-Mukarramah after Ilani Nabuwwat or Risalah, this period where Nabi Sallallahu split the moon into two, this miracle, should I say, this mu'jiza is considered to be from amongst the signs of the hour. Yes? Nabi Sallallahu Zahiri Parda from this dunya. Yes? Zahiri Parda from this dunya is also considered to be a sign from amongst the signs of the last hour. Yes? So when most of the minor signs are manifested and transpired, then the arrival of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam will be imminent. And I've just written a few things here in regards to the minor signs. And there are numerous and countless minor signs. But we see here that the earth will be filled with oppression and tyranny. This is a minor sign from amongst the signs of the hour. Like this, we find that spitting in one another's faces, and what this means is that people will not respect one another, they will dishonor one another. Youngsters will not have that adab towards their elders. Youngsters will disrespect their elders. Children will disrespect their parents. Students will disrespect their teachers, so on and so forth. This doesn't mean literally going up to people and no, but this means metaphorically. Yes, and we find this now. And again, I generalize. If this doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply. There are people who are watching, and no doubt many comments are coming in. I have my own little fan club of haters. But we find that this is common now. Common. Youngsters disrespecting their elders. Like this, number 3, the deen, the religion will be in decline. We often hear the famous narration where the Prophet ﷺ said, towards the end of times, the holding on to the religion will be as difficult as holding on to hot burning coal. So we find this now. So that no importance will be given to the Sharia. Very little importance. Marzi karne asana aapni. Then we blame the religion. We do what we want. Marzi karne asana aapni marzi. And then we blame the religion. Aisa aapko khud na deen par chali sakte hain. But we blame the religion. Very easy. So no importance will be given to the Sharia. And there will be a huge flood of fitna. And we see this today. Fitna in terms of aqa'id, fitna in terms of social problems. This is why the famous narration from Bukhari Sharif, and I mentioned this yesterday as well, where the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, he mentioned that inna min ashrat as-sa'ati, that from amongst the signs of the last hour, Bukhari Sharif Kitab al-Ilm, hadith number 80, that an yurfa al-ilmu wa yathbut al-jahlu wa yushrab al-khamru wa yazhar al-zina. 4 signs in this riwayat. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that knowledge will be lifted. And you might think, how can this be possible? We have libraries full of books, books upon books, internet ka door, jadid door, one tip of, or one touch of the fingertip, and everything is available, everything is at our disposal. Like in the Sharihin mentioned here, how will knowledge be lifted? It will be lifted by the passing away of righteous ulama. Ulama-i Rabbaniyun, ulama-i Haqqa. And we've seen this. We've seen this over the last 50 years, and then go back 100 years. Last year was the 100th also of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Imam Adil, Mujaddid Deen wa Millat, Maulana Shah Ahmad Riza Khan alayhi rahmat wa ridwan. And the caliber of scholars in their time, to the caliber of scholars in our time, Zameen Asman, Farkan. Do you understand? Therefore, those who are righteous in our time, we should support them. Like Amirul Mujahideen, Hazrat Allama Khadim Hussain Rizvi, Hafizahullah Ta'ala, Damat Barakatum Aliyah al-Qudsiyah. And this isn't to appease anyone, everyone knows my position and my love and muhabbat for Baba Jan. And this isn't to impose my love on anyone. But the individuals who are doing the work, Hazrat Allama Sayyid Muzaffar Shah Sahib, Hazrat Allama Hujjatul Islam Sayyid Irfan Shah Sahib, Mashladi, Musli, and many others like this as well. If the Aqidah is Sahih, they are the crowns upon our heads. They are the crowns upon our heads. So this is what أن يرفع العلم ويثبت الجهل. Number 2, ignorance will be widespread. And we see this today. So the scholars mentioned that we are now living in the times of Jahl Murakkab. What does this mean? This means that we are living in times of compounded ignorance. Meaning that many of us are ignorant of the fact that we are ignorant. And if somebody points our ignorance out to us, tu kunaige. Tu nahi pata main 3 saal hoye namaz padna, 40 saal hoye wo ho sake na, you're wrong. But we won't accept our ye jo man hai na, man ka mufti, it won't accept it. Our ego won't allow it. Somebody younger than us, he's telling us how to read our salah. He's telling us how to pray. He's telling us what to do. So this ignorance, and this is prevalent everywhere now. And it's this ignorance which is the root of these cults, like this Gohar, Shahi, whatever he is, and more on him on the end. But and doing a bit of research and listening to what ulama Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat have said about this Fasiq or Fajir, the conclusion is simple, that his knowledge base stems from nothing but ignorance. And those who follow him are ignorant. Baal and Mubdin, Abu Khud Gumrah, and then being a means of misguidance for others as well. But we find that from amongst the minor side, وَيُشْرَبَ الْخَمْرُ, the Prophet ﷺ said that the drinking of alcohol will be common. These are those events which will lead up to the arrival of Imam Mahdi al-Islam. And we are seeing these things manifest in front of our very eyes. You take Nazar Maro, these signs are prevalent. So the drinking of alcohol will be common, and we see this today. If you go Wimsler Road, youngsters in shisha lounges, and before somebody says, Ala Hazrat used to do hookah, we're not going to go into that debate. We're talking about today's shisha lounges, free mixing, music, immorality, begarity, behayai. And similarly, Ustulaba, we find that many youngsters in clubs and pubs, our massages are empty, like I mentioned at the beginning, but we find that our youth are involved in these things. And we know it's happening. We know that our family member, our relative, our masir, our cousin, our friend even, they are involved in these things. Rather than speaking out against it, like we were mentioning in the riwayat, we will silently approve it. We will ignore it. We know he's doing wrong, we will ignore it. And then the last one here, this riwayat, وَيَزْهَرَ الزِّنَا. From amongst the minor signs of the last hour, the Prophet ﷺ said that zina, illegal sexual intercourse will be prevalent. And we see this now, illicit relationship between Muslim brother and Muslim sister. Joining colleges, the university, but unfortunately they get involved in these relationships with women from the opposite gender. And this is becoming very common. As far as the limits are such now, which have been crossed, the boundaries which have been crossed. In Pakistan last week, Mera Jism, Meri Marzi. Andaza like Mera Jism, Meri Marzi. This is what we find now. And this is a direct result of giving this freedom and independence to women and letting them cross the hudud. Islam gave rights to women 1400 years ago. Quran and Sunnah gave rank and honor to women 1400 years ago. But we find this now. So these things are prevalent. And then from amongst the signs of the last hour, opening riwayat in Kitab al-Ilm in Bukhari Sharif, where Nabi Sallallahu was saying something in a gathering, and a Bedouin came and asked the Prophet Sallallahu it's all linked. The Arabic word for the hour is as-sa'atu. Yes? Mata as-sa'atu. Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habiballah, when will the hour take place? When will the hour take place? And the Prophet ﷺ continued his bayan, continued his talk. So some people said to Allah's Messenger ﷺ that had he heard the question, but maybe he did not like what the Bedouin asked. Some people said this amongst themselves. To which the Prophet ﷺ, when he finished his bayan, he said, where is the questioner? Where is the one who is asking about the hour? As-sa'ilu an as-sa'ati. Where is the questioner who is asking about the hour? And he says, the Bedouin says that, Ha ana ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I am here, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, فَإِذَا ضُيِّعَتِ الْأَمَانَةُ فَانْتَظِرِ السَّاعَةُ. From amongst the signs of the last hour is that when honesty is lost. Kya? Honesty. Amana, trust. When honesty is lost, then wait for the hour. When honesty is lost, then wait for the hour. And the Bedouin then asked, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habib, how will honesty be lost? How will honesty be lost? And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا وُسِّدَ الْعَمْرُ إِذَا غَيْرِ أَهْلِهِ فَانْتَظِرِ السَّاعَةِ. And the Prophet ﷺ said that when the power or the authority comes into the hands of unfit people, then wait for the hour. And we see this today. Without pointing fingers, everyone knows the Surah Al of our Muslim readers. Everyone knows. And we see this. Power has come into the hands of those people who are not ahl of it, who are not worthy of it. And they misuse their power, misuse and abuse their positions. Similarly, from amongst the minor signs of the last hour, satanic powers will be dominant. Haram will be understood as halal. And halal will be understood as haram. Yani halal, haram mein pehchan nahi rehni na. There will be no recognition of one or the other. And we see this today. People earning haram, eating haram, consuming haram, wearing haram. Their whole lives are based upon haram. And then when somebody speaks, oh, Imam Sahib got it. Imam Sahib Sakht. Sharia is Sharia. Nobody is exempt from it. Nobody is exempt from the Sharia. Al-Batta, there is a riwayat mentioned by Imam Ghazali in his Makashafat al-Qulub that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that individual who eats even one morsel of haram, Allah Almighty will not accept that person's prayers and that person's du'as for 40 days. One morsel of haram. And we don't question where our food comes. Ajkal aisa samjhe, Nando's bhi halal ji, McDonald's bhi halal. Jitne liya halal, kullu halal, bismillahi wa ala barakatillah. Koi tahqiq hi nahi, koi puchna palna nahi. No questions asked. As long as the label is there, basti. And remember, what goes into your stomach that has an effect on your iman, it has an effect on your iman. This is why Hazrat Khwaja Ibrahim bin Adham radiyallahu anhu had a very beautiful saying. They said that individual who is in control of what goes into their stomach via their mouth, that person is in control of their deen. That person is in control of their religion. Kam khana, kam sena, or kam bolna, speak less, sleep less, and eat less. But we are, these are the way of the awliya, Sufiya, the people we have a nisbat and ta'alluq to. And who are we today? We are those who eat more. 2 o'clock in the morning, just eat, We are those who eat more, sleep more. Youngsters sleeping their lives away. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon they wake up. Oshikoni, blown out of their minds. Puri puri raat, lulu karne rehne. Roaming the streets, joyriding, maapyo car pashan, ye bhi qiyamah ki nishaniyan na. Yani causing this pain to our parents, dishonoring and disrespecting our mother and father, ye another mawzu hai, lekin ye bhi qiyamah ki nishaniyan. We find this now unfortunately amongst our youth. This is why the message is clear and simple. If your mother and father are alive, love them. Cherish them, honor them, spend time with them, do khidmat of your walidain. They are here today, tomorrow they will not be here. And this is a reality that no one can deny. It's inevitable. It is inevitable. So this is what we find. This is what we find. A lack of recognition of what is halal and what is haram. And so here, the last one before we move on. And these are those events leading up to the arrival of Imam Mahdi al-Islam. And numerous and countless other things can be mentioned as well. But we find that good will be taken to be evil, and evil will be taken to be good. Good will be bad, and bad will be evil. This is what we find. This is what we find. And there's one particular riwayat which summarizes this state. Which summarizes this. Yevi Abu Dawud Sharif ki riwayat. It is here, one of the 6 most authentic books of hadith, the Sunan of Imam Abu Dawud, As-Sajistani. They here mention in this chapter, and we're going to come to this, and this book is very relevant to our discussion regarding Imam Mahdi al-Islam, that here in Kitabul Malahimi, they mention a riwayat which summarizes the discussion that we're having, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Hazrat Thawban radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is the Ravi, that yushikul umamu an tada'a alaykum kama tada'a al-akarat. That the Prophet ﷺ said, akaratu ila qas'atiha. That the Prophet ﷺ said, a time is coming soon upon the people. A time is coming soon upon the people where the enemies of Islam will attack the Muslims, just as people when eating invite others to share their dish. Hungry sponges, they've not eaten for several days. When they're invited to share that dish with someone else, how they pounce on that food, that's how the enemies of Islam will pounce upon the Muslims. And we see this today. Sisters being raped in Syria, Uyghur Muslims, mercilessly being imprisoned in China, children being burned on the borders of Bangladesh, the Rohingya children, brothers being butchered in Palestine, in Yemen, and Sudan, and Kashmir, Indian-occupied Kashmir. They talk about lockdown of European countries. What about the lockdown in Kashmir for the last several months? बोले तो बड़े बड़े protests है ना, बड़े बड़े रोले सारे नस्लें गए से Westminster, assuming that our protests were going to make a difference. Gosh, if those people who went running to Westminster had come to the masajid at the time of Fajr and made dua, that would have had more of an impact and would have helped the people in Kashmir than you going and putting your publicity stunts, PR exercises up. And we see this today. Enemies of Islam will be attacked from every angle, from every corner. And then the Sahaba Karam asked that Min illatin nahnu yawma idhin, that Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habiballah, will be less in number? 1.6, 1.7 billion Muslims, will we be less in number? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, no, bal antum yawma idhin kathirun, you'll be large in number, you'll be large in number. But there will be something that will consume the hearts of the people. Al-wahnu. Al-wahnu. And the Qa'il, the Prashna asked, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habiballah sallallahu wa mal wahanu. What is wahan? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that hubbu dunya wa karahiyatul maut. That wahan, which will consume and overcome the people, is love for the dunya and a dislike for death. And we see this today. One makes claim to love the Prophet ﷺ, but at the same time he keeps one eye on the dunya. Remember, two loves cannot exist in one heart. Two loves cannot exist. Dil hai wo dil jo teri yaad se maamur raha. Sar hai wo sar jo tere qadmon pe qurban hua. One heart means only one love. And here we yaad rakho that the love of Allah and His Rasul is one. It's not separate. So if you claim to love Allah and His Rasul, but at the same time you have love for mal and dawlat, alladhi jama'a mala wa addada, and you chase the dunya, you want the dunya, you desire the dunya, raat din mehnat karne ho, paisa, oh, aajkal chakri paise nahi hai, paisa. But when Islam will halal or haram pehchani, as we mentioned, we'll take it even if it's haram. We as a father know that our son doesn't have a job, but he drives a 20,000 pound car. We as a mother know that our daughter doesn't have a source of income, but she has the latest designer handbag. We don't ask them anything. Why? Because every morning when we come down, we find a lafafa, some sort of envelope, some sort of paisa on the fireplace. We say, "Chup rehne yaar. Apna nak bachane wasta. Galna bhu zyada ho jasa." Lekin this is what we find now. This is what we find. So, hubbu dunya wa karahiyatul maut. Dekho the coronavirus, everyone in a state of panic and in this state of fear and anxiety. Itna khawf for death itself. But we fear this virus. Why? This virus is going to affect the poor and it's going to affect the rich as well. Even though, statistically speaking, tens of thousands of children die from starvation every single day. Hundreds and thousands of people lose their lives in Muslim countries. Because this virus can affect the rich as well as the poor. Now all of a sudden that's all you find in everyone's discussion, on everyone's lips. Corona, corona, corona. Allahu Akbar. Wa karahiyatul maut, a dislike for death. Maut ke liye tiyar, we want to live forever. But we forget that this dunya is temporary. Kullu man alayha fan. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. When these events will happen, this will then lead up to the arrival of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So very quickly, how will the Muslims recognize him? And understand that his Ahmad and his arrival have been, the signs of his arrival and the mentioning of his arrival have been given to us. Them signs have been given to us by the Prophet ﷺ over 1400 years ago. And ulama ikram have devoted books and chapters within books to the discussion of Imam Mahdi al-Islam. Here in Sunan Abi Dawud Sharif, that we find a full chapter dedicated and devoted to Imam Mahdi al-Islam. Kitab al-Mahdi. Yes, Kitab al-Mahdi. So this is something which is undeniable. The knowledge in relation to the arrival of Imam Mahdi al-Islam is undeniable. Over 20 Sahih riwayat. And Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he mentions that these narrations, some of them have reached the level of mass transmission. Tawatur, mass transmission. Yes? And around 25 companions of Tabi'i, and they have narrated ahadith mubarakah upon Imam Mahdi al-Islam. From amongst them, the Jalil Qadr Sahaba Ikram, like Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiyallahu anhu. Says Subhanallah. When you hear the names, they are tanda koni chahiye. Sayyidina Ali Murtaza, Karram Allah Ta'ala Wajul Kareem, Maulai Kainat, Maulai Kul, Mushkil Kusha, Sher Huda, Sayyidina Ali Murtaza, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Sahibun Na'alaini wal Miswaq. The one who used to carry the Na'alain Sharifain of Rasulullah. The one who used to carry the blessed Miswaq Mubarak of Islam. Sahibul Asrar. The one who used to carry the secrets of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, Jalil Qadr Sahab, Ummahat al-Mu'mineen from amongst them, Sayyidina Salama, and many others. They have narrated those ahadith al-Mubarakah in relation to the descriptions and the characteristics and the features of Imam Mahdi al-Islam. Very quickly, his name will be Muhammad. Kya? His name will be Muhammad. Yes, and here riwayat mentioned in Abu Dawud Sharif, where the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam himself said, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam foretold the arrival of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Hadith number 4283, the law lam yabqa min ad-dahri illa yawmun lab'atha Allahu rajulan min ahli bayti Yamuha adlan kama muli'at jawran. The Prophet ﷺ said that even if one day of this time, yani this world, was to remain, that Allah Almighty will raise a man from my family. Allah will raise a man from my family, from my ahl, and He will fill the earth with justice, just as it was filled with oppression. In another narration again, same book, Kitab al-Mahdi, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Mahdiyu min itrati min waladi Fatimata. Yes, the Mahdi, the one who is the guided one, Mahdi Kamana, the guided one. He will come from the offspring of Sayyidah Fatima to Zahra. Yes, and his name will be the same as the name of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us that Al-Mahdiyu minni ajlal jabhati, that Imam Mahdi al-Islam will be of my stock, similar in terms of features to the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yes, and he will have a broad forehead, and he will have a prominent nose, and he will fill the earth with equality and justice, just as it was filled with oppression and tyranny. And in this riwayat, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that Yamliku sab'a sinina, his rule will remain for 7 years. How many? Like in mukhtalif riwayat, some mention 5 years, some say 7 riwayat, some say 8, some say 9. And most do ittifaq upon 9. Imam Mahdi al-Islam will born in Al-Madina al-Munawwara. Father's name Abdullah. His name Muhammad, from the family of Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Albatta, his nasab, his lineage will go back all the way to Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba radiyallahu anhu. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, and this riwayat is here as well. And that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said one day, whilst looking at Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, we love Imam Hassan just as we love Imam Hussein. This is the pehchan of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, that we don't give preference to one over the other. Both of them are grandsons of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Both of them are nawasi of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are not the Rawafis or Shia Hazrat who just do Tadhkirah Hussein, but we also do Tadhkirah Hassan as well. So one day, Manadara Ibn al-Hasani, the Prophet ﷺ looked at Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, or is Riwayat Karabi, Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza. Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Inna bani hada sayyidun. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whilst looking at his son, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, this son of mine, he didn't say my grandson, this son of mine, he is a sayyid, he is a chief. Remember, it was Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba who put the two disputing Muslim parties within the Ummah at that time, put them together, reconciled between them. Yes? वो एक अलग discussion है. And the Prophet ﷺ said, from his loins, كما سماه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that from his loins will come a man whose name will be the same as the name of your Prophet. His name will be the same as the name of your Prophet. And he will resemble him in conduct, and he will fill the earth with justice. He will fill the earth with justice. Imam Mahdi al-Islam, when he will arrive in Makkah al-Mukarramah, he will be 40 years old. He will not know that he is the Mahdi, not like these fraudsters and claimants, that we are Imam Mahdi and this and that. No. Ma'adallah, Imam Mahdi al-Islam will not know. Allah Almighty will give this knowledge to him in the period of one night. And then when he will come to Makkah al-Mukarramah, people will begin to recognize him. His face will be shining as bright as a star. As bright as a star. People will recognize him, and they will ask to do pledge allegiance on his hands, but initially he will refuse until eventually a voice will be heard from the heavens that Hada Mahdiyun, this is Mahdi, follow him and obey him. And then 313 is quite significant. Why? Ashab Badr were also 313. They will initially pledge their allegiance to Imam Mahdi al-Islam. Though initially he will not want it, but he will accept it. And then people will come from the east also pledging allegiance upon the hands of Imam Mahdi al-Islam. And like this, Imam Mahdi al-Islam, at the same time you will have the fitna of Dajjal. The greatest fitna from amongst the fitan, and that will afflict this ummah, the fitna of Dajjal. And we should continuously remind one another about the arrival of Dajjal. But we don't hear this often. Corona is all we hear nowadays. More deadly than the coronavirus will be the fitna of Dajjal. And that's a discussion for another day. And no doubt you would have heard of the characteristics of Dajjal, his trickery and the imagery that he will show to the people, and the chaos and anarchy and tyranny that he will cause on the earth. And he will enter every town, and he will enter every city, but he will not enter the Haramain Sharif. He will not enter Makkah al-Mukarramah or al-Madinah al-Munawwara. Angels will be posted at the gates and at the doors of the Haramain Sharifain, and they will refuse Dajjal entry into the Haramain Sharifain. Dajjal will then move towards Syria with 70,000 of his followers, Yahud and Nasara, Jews and Christians. And at the same time, Imam Mahdi al-Islam will be preparing the Muslim army to fight against Dajjal. And on the day of the battle of the end of times, Imam Mahdi al-Islam will be standing on the sajada, on the musalla, ready to lead the Muslim army, the mujahideen, in the prayer. It will be Fajr Salah. And at that point, just before the Jama'at, Isa al-Islam's nuzul will take place. Isa al-Islam's nuzul will take place. Yes, nuzul of Isa, the descent of Isa al-Islam. On the eastern minaret of the central masjid in Damascus, he'll be wearing yellow attire, and he'll be beautifully fragranced, and his hands will be upon the wings of two angels. And Isa al-Islam will come, and Isa al-Islam will stand behind Imam Mahdi al-Islam. Imam Mahdi al-Islam will initially move back, and to give way to Isa al-Islam to come forward. But Isa al-Islam will do ishara to Imam Mahdi al-Islam. Ummati will lead a Nabi in Jama'ah. What a great honor for this ummah. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhawna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. And this this ayat links with the points that I was mentioning at the beginning. That Allah Almighty says in Surah Ali Imran, Surah number 3, verse number 110, that you are the best of nations. You are the best of nations. Understand your value, understand your worth. Why are we the best of nations? Allah Almighty mentions 3 signs. Number 1, ta'muruna bil ma'roof. We are the best of nations. We are the best of all the nations, and we are the best of ummatis. Why? Because we encourage one another towards good. ta'muruna bil ma'roof wa tanhauna 'anil munkar. Number 2, we stop people from doing wrong, which is the lengthy discussion we had at the beginning. And now you know it makes sense when we put it all together. And number 3, وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. We are those who believe in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. In relation to this individual, Riyaz Ahmad Gohar Shahi, time ko nahi itna to do wazahat upon this. Agar shukr hai koi baba nahi khalta hai, Maulvi jaan choro na. Pata nahi shayad koi wasi ho na. Babe bhi pata hai dade honde na. Maulvi sahab, adhan time. Namaz na time. Oh, now we pata hai, namaz pari te ja, I'm not one of them who run off. Yes, when the adhan's being called, like these note khans. Barhal, we find this fitna, and this is a huge concern. Yaqinan, huge concern. Initial founder of this cultish group, his name Riyaz Ahmad Gohar Shahi, from Gujrahan. Gujrahan, 1941 he was born in, and died in 2001. But his believers, those who follow him, they claim that he didn't die in 2001. Like Isa Islam, he was raised to the heavens. And he will come back towards the end of time in the jism of Imam Adil Islam. And he will be, he will align with Isa Islam and defeat Dajjal and so on and so forth. Disgusting and weird beliefs, a number of them which I was reading over, such as adultery is fine, all these things. But this individual who died in 2001, one would assume that his mission died with him as well. Yes? And ulama of that time, 1994, the Gale, 95, 1960, ulama of that time put fatwa kufr on him, fasik, fajr, so on and so forth. But his work and his mission continues through this individual is known as Yunus Gohar. Yes? And this person is active, Ra Media, Ra TV, his own YouTube channel, and on this he is polluting the minds of our youngsters, contaminating their hearts, misleading them. So much so that individuals from Blackburn, I've been told now, following this person, following the Batil ideology, the Batil doctrine. The message is clear, that anyone who contradicts Quran and Sunnah has nothing to do with the deen of Islam. Yes? If somebody goes against Quran and Sunnah, Siratan, Suratan, Zahiran, Batinan, they have no, and this, if you look at this Yunus Gohar, his tasweer and his picture, his videos, you find that there's nothing there. They're not tabi of the Sharia, they're only followers of their whims and desires. Yes? So we are clear and categorical in speaking out against these individuals and saying that they are those who have nothing to do with Deen Islam, nothing to do with the religion. And if you know of anyone who are influenced by these individuals, then it is your responsibility, your duty to speak out, help and guide them individuals. But Muqtadi is at the island, mashallah. So I get my cue, and I understand what it is that these. So Imam Mahdi al-Islam, when he will leave this dunya, he will be around 49 years old, and his Salatul Janazah will be led by one of the Muslims of that time. Al-Batay, some riwayat is mentioned by Sayyidina Isa al-Islam himself, and then Imam Mahdi al-Islam will be laid to rest. After that, the period of rule of Isa al-Islam for 40 years will begin. Then you have Ya'juj and Ma'juj and the rest of the subsequent major signs of the last hour. This was a slight insight into some of the minor signs of the last hour, and in particular looking at the sign and the arrival of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. It's important that we go back to our basics. This is important. Yes? When your foundations and your basics are mazboot, Agar bunyad to sani mazboot hai na, then there is nothing and no one that can then affect you. Why is it that these youngsters are misled by these individuals, cult type leaders? Is because of their foundations being weak. Like Allah Musa just said, like unfortunately our masajids and our ulama and our infrastructure and our committees. I spoke out against the committees last week, I will give them a respite this week. But our committees unfortunately do not plan for the future. We invest in buildings, in cement and bricks, in extension projects, but we don't invest in the people in that masjid. Yes? Ik takreer kafi nahi. It's important that we all work together in order to safeguard the iman of our coming generation. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala accept our gathering here. Namaz ke baad? Inshallah.